Alright, so we got a little update on the clutch here. I received my new bearing in the mail today. Let's see if we can get this out of the package. Oh, here we go. And basically that's going to go in this hole. And you know, it should work out pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I have my little seal and bearing driver here from my Harbor Freight set. I'm going to bring this over to my press and attempt to press this old bearing out. So we'll see what we can do. Alright, so let's see if we can press this thing out here. I got it hopefully lined up right. And this is the first time I'll be using this press since I fixed it. Before, this plate here bent and got all crappy, so I bought a new plate that was out of a similar press, and I welded some metal on the edge. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, it's going, I think. Damn! Thing is tight, man. Let's see what happens. Oh, it was starting to go. Yeah, it's out a little bit. It's about halfway out. Let me see, these presses are dangerous. You gotta be careful with these things. The hardest part is trying to get it lined up on something properly so it can get pressed. And not, you know, engage the bearing per se, but just have it supported around the outside on these lips. So you gotta flip these arbor plates or whatever you gotta do to find the right configuration. I think we're pretty close there. You gotta make sure that the thing is as centered as it can be. Where did my seal driver fly to? Here it is. Alright, let's try this again. Put this in there. Let's do this again. So it was mostly out. Son of a bitch. That is so funny. Oh man. Let me line that up again off camera here and we'll try it again. I think I got it lined up right now. Let's see what happens this time. So finicky, you know? It's like if you're not totally dead on center or whatever, you're not pressing with the right forces and it wants to shoot out. There we go. There we go. It's coming. Perfect. 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 So, let's see what we got here. So this is our shot bearing. Let's go get our new one. So this is our nice new bearing. And this is our old POS bearing. I got this bearing on eBay. I paid $16.95 for it with free shipping. To buy the original bearing from Gravely was like $80. This one is a model 6208. It says RS on there. The original one I was able to code it was 6208 LU. But this original one is shot. So let's see if we can press this one in. So all we're going to do is flip the clutch assembly over and press it in from the other side until it goes against this little ring that's on there. You don't have to take the ring off or anything. You just got to press it in until it's flat against that. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so for this side, I just have it flat on the arbor plate, and I'm going to start pressing until it's not able to go any farther. I'm not sure if we have to, you know, suspend it between the two arbor plates or if it would just bottom out on the ring flat on the bottom there. Let's see. It's going in a little cocked. That's not cool. So let me back it off here and compress on the back side of here. We don't want it to be cocked in there. That's for sure. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. I think we're good. So let's back this off and take it out and take a look. Yeah, Yeah, that's money, man. It's flat around the ring the whole way. So that's it. The bearing is replaced. Another job by the 12-ton newly fixed press. I know that Harbor Freight tools suck, but I've been very happy with the seal driver kit here. I've used it for oil seals. I've used it for pressing bearings. This particular bearing was 80 millimeters. They got an 81. The 76 is the one that I was just using. You can also put this on there and hammer it in if it's an oil seal or something like that. But I'm actually happy with this. You know, for a Harbor Freight tool, most of them are garbage and you use them once and throw it out, but I've had this for a couple of years and I have no complaints with it. Yeah, so the bearing's actually a 62082 RSNR. And yeah, I got it, dropped it back over the clutch, put the snap ring back on. Now on the other side here, I'm going to oil all these cams up here with some grease before I put it together. This spring goes in there, and someone pointed out on my first video that there was a bolt in there with the nuts on it, and there should have been a clevis pin. So I bought a clevis pin at Tractor Supply, so we'll replace it with that. And we're going to grease the spline that comes out of the machine before we put this on, so that it's got some good grease on it. And then we're going to start it up and see if it works right. And if everything's good, we'll actually take the clutch off the other side and grease that one and inspect that one as well. But getting this side back together is my primary concern right now. Okay, so I'm going to put some grease on the spline here with my grease gun, and then we'll drop this clutch back on there and get it nice and lubed up good, and we'll see what we got. Alright, so I got all three of these rollers greased. I took the rollers off the pins, put grease in the pins, and greased them up. And then what I got here is new lock nuts to put on there, because, you know, again, I had to torch the old ones off. And one of the shafts had come right out of the machine, so I bought two regular nuts that I can double nut on there to turn that shaft back in. And this is the shaft, so I hit it on the wire wheel on the grinder for a minute, cleaned it up, and just put a little oil on there, and I'll thread these on. Now somebody online said to put tape over the three rollers so that when you put them on the machine they don't fall off, but so I'll give it a shot. You know, we'll see what happens. Who knows? Well, I was able to get the thing on there with all three bearings in, and the tape actually probably did help. So now I've got to put my new nuts on here and snug them up. And I'm actually going to go back to the service manual, and I think there's a clearance in thousandths that you put a feeler gauge between the clutch there to see if it's in the right adjustment or not. And I got the new clevis that will replace this nut and bolt here. That will be the last thing. So yeah, I'm just gonna tighten this up with my little wrench here, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, have fun. Well, the manual says to set the clutch gap at 50,000, so I just did that. I got a clevis pen in there. I'm going to try to start it up, and we'll see what happens. Let's see. It's pretty cold out. It's about 30 degrees. It's been outside all weekend here. See what happens. I realized that after I put the clutch back on and it was still making a little bit of noise, I looked at the IPL and I'm missing a spacer. And I don't think the spacer was in there when I took it apart. And I definitely don't have it. And the spacer says it's like a shim, I think 30,000 shim, which I don't have. And the two little washer thingies in there are bouncing around like crazy, making noise. So I brought my parts transmission into the garage because it's about 25 degrees out right now, and it's a little dark and cold. So I'm going to try to get one of those old keyed clutches off the parts tranny and see if I can't get the spacer out of that one. It's available from Gravely still, but I don't have time to wait for it, and you know, why should I pay for parts if I have some here in stock? So we'll see if we can get that out.